been around a year since I started YouTube, and what a strange it has been. Of course, it's just my luck that 2020 is the least normal year on a global scale right after I leave university, with 2 degrees and a tiny ambition to start creating online. Needless to say, but things haven't exactly gone as planned for the majority of this year, and it has been tough. But with every dark cloud, there are some silver linings, and this channel is definitely one of them. My first video on this channel was about Jedi Fallen Order because I love Star Wars, but mostly because the talk of the Battlefront community and sort of like the mainline Star Wars games community in general was about the game. Now, ever since I bought the first Battlefront game back in 2015, I wanted to be part of the community that makes content for the games. So back in March of 2018, hot off the news of the incoming progression system for Battlefront 2, started a South African Battlefront-based community Twitter account, mainly to raise awareness for empty servers. I mean, can you believe the Battlefront 2 used to have South African servers? Wild. Anyway, from there and over the next 2 years, I became further entrenched with the community and learned way more about it, and I always just wanted to jump in. After all, I was just spouting my opinions on Twitter anyway, so when I was finished with Jedi Fallen Order, I thought why not step it up and make a much more detailed and entertaining I hoped, video instead of just my generic tweets I could blast all over the Twitter account. Although I started with Jedi Fallen Order, I always wanted to tackle Battlefront on my channel, but not how other YouTubers or game changers were doing it. Instead, I wanted to focus on the philosophy and impact of how the game is designed and how that affects the community. Like in Mannequin video, I don't go after bugs or direct numbers of his stamina, for example, but rather the philosophy of the multiple aspects incorporated into his design and how they influence players and how they play, and thus the overall meta. I wanted to take a more holistic view of the games I enjoyed, rather than the many breakdowns or moment-to-moment updates other channels were already doing so well. Of course, just a few months in, and some of the worst news we could have gotten came in March of this year. No more content or support for Battlefront 2, and while that didn't exactly affect the holistic look I wanted to take, it did indirectly kill the momentum of the game and the interest I and many had for the game. The game would start to wane as the community became less and less active as the months went by. While I wasn't exclusively focusing on Battlefront at that point, it was still a shift I had to take the channel in faster than I expected, and while that route hasn't exactly worked out in the end, I do still focus a major portion of my work on Star Wars games. However, I think being free just to focus on what I want is ultimately better in the long run. One thing I definitely did not expect to come from this channel was making new friends, and so quickly as well. Maybe I should have seen it coming, given the creators I look up to all seem to be on good terms with one another, and it isn't exactly uncommon for creators, especially in this community, to be friends, but I was still surprised. It is kind of funny to think one of the main reasons I thought there was a South African community out there for Battlefront, and thus the Battlefront tweets, was because I made friends with a fellow South African under one of I think Battlefront updates post. What really kickstarted views on my videos, and by views I mean like 18 views on a video, was jumping on the SaveGA hashtag and then having that shared by the Starfighter master himself, Rogue Wolf. We soon became friends at the same time the hashtag was popping off, and that also allowed me to make friends with another creator, Rogue Console. And now it's always a good time jumping in a few games with them and all the new friends I've made through them. This is one thing I definitely could not have imagined would happen this year, but I'm so glad it did. Oh yeah, and I'm extremely happy some of my IRL friends decided to hop in the mix as well, with some incredible videos that make me kind of jealous. I wish they had their kind of talent. But overall, it's such a nice feeling to have them in the same sort of online space I'm operating in now. Now, the one aspect I always wanted to incorporate into the content I made was my home country. I don't think I need to tell anyone that the fact is that Africa often gets ignored. Living here, playing from here, and simply trying to do anything that's inherently international from here can be frustrating. Many aspects from servers to DLC pricing seem to have no consideration towards the African market, meaning we have to fight every time for some equal treatment. I don't imagine anyone from Canada has to ask for servers close enough for them to play on, or to try and get prices down to match some real value of what the Americans and Japanese would pay for their video games. But someone from Kenya, Botswana, Namibia, or South Africa always has to. I don't know what else I can do other than try and make our voices heard. That's why I incorporate South African topics into my videos, and they seem to do well. But I mainly do it to, one, actually try and get my point across, and two, hopefully show other locals that they can do it as well. The more quality content we as South Africans can create, the more we can influence each other, the more we can share, and then actually use to make a difference, even in something relatively small as gaming. Although this hasn't been my best year personally, and that's probably responsible for less videos than I wanted, it has been great on the online side of things. I've discovered wholesome communities on YouTube and Twitch, started my own forays into online content creation, and managed to get some attention from creating local-centric entertainment. It feels good, and hopefully will just continue to grow further. I could never have imagined it would grow at all, so to be at like this size is something I'm extremely grateful for. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. Thank you.